Welcome back to the kitchen, everybody. This is your boy, the Mad Chef, and tonight we are going to be making a pizza unlike any pizza we've made here before. Yes, we've done really great takes on New York style pizza. We had our last crowning pizza achievement with a stuffed crust pizza and some cheesy bread from scratch delivery style. If you haven't watched that video, please do. We've also made calzones from the same pizza dough. Now tonight we're going to another part of the country. We're going to be attempting a Detroit-style pan pizza, and it is a very unique pizza for a lot of different reasons. If you take a look at it, it seems like the folks at Detroit, have taken inspiration from the traditional Roman pizza, if you ever seen one of those, and then take a look at a Detroit pizza right after that. You can see where they what looks like they taken an inspiration and modified a Roman-type pizza into their own unique thing. And it's also a lot like making bread, so it's almost like a leveled up French bread pizza in a way. And speaking of Roman pizza, our next subscriber YouTube food challenge will be at 500 subscribers. I know it might be a bit early for this. If you want to see me make a traditional or close to traditional Roman style pizza, I need to hit 500 subscribers. I really want to do this, but we got to make a benchmark. We got to reach a goal. So at 500 subscribers, I will be making a Roman pizza from scratch. All right, so let's get back to Detroit. There's some things that are very different and very unique. One of the great things about making Detroit pizza from scratch is you don't need 12 or more hours overnight to bulk ferment your dough. It's only going to take about 2 hours to get this to where we need to be. So it's quick. You can do it on pretty much any weekend, or if you get off of work early enough, a weeknight. But the one thing I absolutely cannot stand is it uses my arch nemesis in pizza making, bread flour. But it is the only way to do Detroit pizza. So that being said, let's get started. In our bowl, we have 2¼ cups of bread flour. We're going to be seasoning that with 1 teaspoon of table salt or fine sea salt, and 1 teaspoon of granulated sugar. And we're also going to be adding in 2¼ teaspoons or 1 package of dry rapid rise or instant yeast. We're going to get that mixed in and combined thoroughly into our bread flour. And once all that is done, we're going to be adding in 3/4 cup of warm water, slightly warm water. This temp at about 85 degrees, and this is kind of what you're going for here. And before we mix everything together, we're going to be adding in 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. All right, and I did pick this recipe from a very high-profile YouTuber, and hopefully this works out. This doesn't seem like enough water to me, but we're going to go ahead and just try to put things into motion and trust the process. We're going to be switching out our whisk for a spoon, and then we're just going to work this together until everything is thoroughly hydrated and we have a somewhat shaggy dough mass formed. If you can press it together with your hands and kind of sticks together like so, then it's ready to be rolled out onto our dusted work surface with a little bread flour. And while I'm kneading this, my gut is just screaming at me that 3/4 cup of water is just not enough hydration. The original instructions for this recipe was originally made in a food processor, but I decided to make this by hand because I'm making 2 batches and I didn't want to dirty up the food processor and clean it again. Maybe that's why 3/4 cup worked as well as it did. Maybe you get a little more mileage out of it in a food processor, but I ended up adding in an additional 1/4 cup of warm water, same temperature, very slowly, in batches, kneading in between. And by the time I ended up adding the rest of this 1/4 cup of water, it finally ended up turning into the kind of dough I needed it to be. So we did end up saving this first batch of dough. And my second batch, I'll be adding in a whole cup of warm water at the get, so that way it forms a proper dough right off the bat. All right, and now that our dough ball is 100% complete, we're going to take the original bowl that we made the dough in, lube it up really well, both the bottom and the sides, with some extra virgin olive oil. I'm putting a little extra olive oil in the bottom of the bowl. That way I can take this dough, roll it around on all sides, and get it thoroughly oiled and lubricated. This is also going to help add some additional moisture into the dough. After that, we're going to cover the bowl up with either some saran wrap or a towel, and then put it on a warm spot and let it proof and rise for about 2 hours. Now for the sauce, it's going to be fairly simple, straightforward. We're going to be using our road-tested and trusted pizza sauce that we always use with one modification. In every Detroit pizza recipe I have seen, there is a heavy focus on red pepper. So while we're cooking off our garlic, we've added to it 1 teaspoon of red pepper. And guys, if you have not seen the directions for my pizza sauce recipe, I'll have a link in the description for you guys to see how it's made. Just add in 1 teaspoon of red pepper to your garlic while it is cooking. Let that infuse with the oil. And guys, I will see you again after the 2-hour period is up, and I'll show you how to put this thing together. So this is our second dough. This is the one that came together immediately after we put the right amount of hydration in from the start. All right, and this is our first one that we saved during the kneading process by adding in that extra water. So as you can see, that one's still viable too. But this one turned out good from the start, so we're going to be using that one for tonight's video. Honestly, you'll either need an 8x10 or a 10x15 hard anodized aluminum baking pan. So guess who doesn't have one of those? So Walmart also doesn't have them either, and I know I bitch and complain a lot about Walmart always letting me down, but it is fairly consistent. Now, what I did shoot for, since I couldn't find hard anodized aluminum, is at least I tried to find a pan that was close to the size that I needed. Of course, I couldn't find any 10x15s. So I went with what I could, and this is like an 11x14 point something weird. So give and take, it's about an inch off in either direction. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lube up this baking pan on the bottom and the sides with extra virgin olive oil. And when you're making a Detroit pizza, the thing of it is not only are you making the bread, but you're also frying the bread. You're going to want to see a ring of crispy caramelization on the side. It may look burnt, but it's really not. That's just when the cheese melts, it's going to go down the sides of your dough. And as the bread rises in the oven while it cooks, it's going to create this crispy, crunchy ring. And you do want that. All right, so now that we've got our baking vessel appropriately lubed, and guys, the wetter the better. So what we're going to do is add in our Detroit style pizza dough, and we're just going to try to roughly fill the length of this pan corner to corner. Now guys, don't be alarmed if your pizza does not stretch out on this time through. The glutens are not fully relaxed yet. So just get it, approximate it from corner to corner. Don't stretch it too thin because it still has one more proofing cycle. So we're just trying to get it to fill most of the space and area of this pan. All right. All right, without breaking anything, this is what I've got right now. And this is about what you should expect, regardless if you have the right size pan or not. All right, so what we're going to do now is reposition that because I totally messed that up. And we're going to let this proof for the final time. So we're going to cover this back up and let this go for another 30 minutes. Also, at this time, you will need to preheat your oven to the highest setting it can go. Mine is 525. If yours is 500, then do that. If yours is 550, then you've got a really good oven. I don't expect anything to get really any higher than that. So let's go ahead and do this, and don't worry about a pizza stone. For once, this one doesn't require one. So we're going to put this back up under the light, and our second dough is going to be used tomorrow for dinner. And I'll see you at the assembly. All right, it's been a little over 30 minutes, and here we are. So now we're just going to spread this out the rest of the way. You can definitely tell all the gluten here has relaxed because this is taking zero effort. Okay. And literally just that quick, it comes together. I'm feeling pretty good about this, y'all. This is literally the best bread flour pizza dough I've ever made. Literally, none of the other ones ever really worked out. Probably my fault, but who knows. See, that is perfect. That's gorgeous. Now, I've had Detroit-style pizzas before, And really, my only gripe is they are exceptionally dry. Or at least too thick, too bready without enough moisture. Because as you know, a traditional Detroit pizza puts the cheese directly on top of the bread. And then you only have like 2 streaks of sauce. That's it. Maybe 3 if they're feeling generous, but usually 2. So what I want to do now to add moisture and flavor is add some of this nice garlic butter I just made. Now this is pretty much my usual garlic butter minus the Parmesan cheese. So 1 stick of butter, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of parsley, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And that's it. So we're just going to take a little bit. We don't want to make this exceptionally greasy. And then we're just going to use a spreader and make sure we cover the entire thing. Because if we're going to add moisture, we might as well add some flavor. And that garlic butter is going to add an amazing amount of flavor and some much needed moisture to this. Alright, so if you are actually in Detroit, you the pizza would have something called brick cheese, which is a very hard northern sort of cheese product. I think they get it from Wisconsin, but it's like a very hard brick mozzarella. I am very much south of Detroit and Wisconsin. You can't find that stuff here. You have to have it imported, special delivered, and guys, that is a whole bunch of money for a cheese that I would only use maybe once or twice max. So we're going in with my regular low moisture part skim mozzarella. And again, right on top of the bread. This is very, very different than a New York pie or a conventional pan pizza or a restaurant style, you know, like fast food pizza like Domino's or Pizza Hut or anything like that. So it's directly contacting with the crust, which is also why I made the decision to add a little flavor enhancement, if you will, by adding that garlic butter in, and I'm just covering this entire crust. And the magic's going to happen while it's in the oven. This might seem a little flat to you guys right now, but it will rise in the oven. Honestly, my pizza would have looked a lot more full and presentable if I had a proper size pan for this. So this may come out a little bit on the thin side. I hope not. Alright, and since we're putting sauce and pepperoni on the top, I'm adding this Parmesan cheese because 1, it belongs, and 2, it's going to help catch some of that grease from the pepperoni. And now, our fresh tomato sauce. Since this is actually a large pizza, I want to add 3 stripes. Normally it's only 2, but that's a whole middle part of the pizza without any sauce whatsoever, and I'm not really okay with that. Detroit, I apologize if I have sinned. But we're doing this the Mad Chef way. And because we were already talking about Walmart letting me down, normally you guys know I go with the margarita thick cut pepperonis. This is Galileo. I've used it before. It's not bad, but it's not my fave. We're going to cover this sucker generously with pepperonis. Alright, now that this is done, I'm going to put a final layer of Parmigiano Reggiano on top. And this is an extra, this is a pepperoni lover's Detroit pizza. So we're going to put this in the oven on 525. I want to set the timer for 20 minutes, but we're going to check it at 15. So this could take anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes. I'll let you know how long mine takes. So it's been 17 minutes. That's how long this thing took to cook. I checked it at 15 and there just wasn't enough melty caramelized action going on for me to pull it out at that point. I wanted a little more crisp on the pepperonis, and I wanted to make sure that bread was done. Now, this size is a little thin for me, but I had a couple things going on here that worked against me. One, I didn't take my own advice, and I think I did overwork the dough in the pan just a little bit to reach the corners. And 2, the pan in general was not the right size. If I could have found that 10 by 15 pan, this would have been that nice thick boy that I was kind of looking for. But for a thinner Detroit style pizza, I mean, we got the ring around the crust that we were looking for. This is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. This is the caramelized ring where all the cheese is melted down the side. So this still happens even though it's a bit of a thinner pizza than I want. All right, so in about the 6-minute mark, I started hearing this pizza actively frying. I heard the snap, the crackle, the pop. And honestly, before then, I've never heard a pizza fry like that. And it's an otherworldly experience. And the only other critique I can give myself is I think I went a little hard on the marinara in the corners, which is weighing it down a little. So a little bit easier on the corners. All right, so the only thing left to do is to cut this sucker up into some nice squares. Oh, did y'all hear that crunch? Oh, you know what time it is now. It's time to plate it and try it. All right. So I want to get me a corner piece here so I can get some of that caramelized crust action. Let's get started. Oh. Oh. That's different, but that's different in a good way. Oh my God. The garlic butter infusing with the marinara and the pepperonis. It's just this flavor explosion. It is just otherworldly, different from anything I've had. And, oh my God. The texture of the pizza is a lot better than I expected it to be. And we're getting some of that heat because that Detroit pizza has a focus, that sauce has a focus on the red pepper, which brings a nice acidity cut through the richness. Look at the fry up on that. That is perfect. Perfectly cooked and caramelized. Oh! My rating for this is like a straight 15 out of 10. But my rating's not the one that matters. Miss Mad Chef, what you think? Where does this rank?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
It's my new favorite.
You heard it from her, guys. She's not going to lie to me about this stuff. We're both passionate about food and eating it. So her new favorite. Guys, this might be better than the New York. This is better than the New York slice. I'm finding myself at odds saying this because I would never think to say something like this, but this is a first time for me. I followed a recipe, actually 2 different recipes to create this dough, and the only thing that went wrong was just needing a little extra water in the mix to get it to the right hydration to make a great crust. If I had another pan, this would have been even better. So guys, please, if you're making this by hand like I did, 1 cup of water heated to about 85 degrees Fahrenheit is all you need to get this. Until next time, like, share, and subscribe. This is the best pizza I have made on this channel by far, and I hate saying that because of how partial I am to the New York slice and the stuffed crust pizza, because those are monumental. Now guys, like I said earlier in the video, if you want to see me make the old school, OG, original big brother to this, the Roman pizza, the traditional rectangle pizza, please, we need to get to 500 subscribers. I'm really pumped. I really want to do it, but I need your help to get there. So please, share this channel with all your friends. And guys, thank you so far. At the time of this recording, I have 119 subscribers. And I hope by the time this video comes out, there's a lot more than that. I love you guys. Thank you for the support. And always, any comments, questions, or anything like that, I would love. I read all of them. And you never know. Your ideas may be seen on this channel soon. I always listen to you guys. Thank you, love you, and good night.